how can you really tell if someone is a narcissist, a sociopath, or a psychopath? Like, how can you tell if they have nuances of it or if they are one? Is there a strategy in finding that out?
You know, I am totally on board with you with this because everybody's calling everybody a narcissist. It's like the thing. You don't agree with me? You're a narcissist. You said this to me? You're a narcissist. It's like, pull out the DSM-5, which is actually the book that has all the disorders in there. I have a master's in forensic psychology. And you not agreeing with someone, or rather someone not agreeing with you, doesn't mean you label them as a narcissist. And the fact that we label everybody all these things, just in and of itself, you labeling somebody else a narcissist is narcissistic of you.
Right.
So when we look at true narcissism, there's criteria you have to meet. And there's certain criteria. Lack of empathy is one. Mm-hmm. They don't feel bad. Lack of remorse. Now, when you look at serial killers or people who commit certain types of crime, that falls under antisocial disorder. When people think of antisocial disorder, they think of someone who doesn't like to socialize, and doesn't like to be monkey, right? As we talked about it before. They don't want to be warm and engaging. They kind of are then to themselves. That's not that. Antisocial disorder essentially is it's a person who lacks empathy. And that's where sociopath or psychopath fall in, although they've moved away from using these terms in actual psychology. The chances of you coming across someone like that, some of the research that I had looked at said 1 out of 25 people will be one of these. So 1 out of 25 people will have this tendency, meet this criteria. It doesn't.
Of a narcissist or sociopath or
sociopath, psychopath.
Really? 1 out of 25?
1 out of 25. Maybe a little bit of narcissism, but 1 out of 25. I think narcissism is going up in our culture right now. I think we are seeing a bit more of it. And the reason why I think we're seeing that a lot is the United States predominantly, I can't speak to other countries as much, is a very identity culture. Mm-hmm. We're all me. I feel like this. My feelings need to be validated. I need this. I need that. And then with that, social media has made us more self-focused rather than outward focused. So we are more identity. We lack more empathy as well. Social media has also done that. In fact, I just literally on the way here, the news just hit me up, NBC, and like, hey, we want to do a story. They're looking at college campuses. Crime is going up on college campuses. And they want to know why. One of the reasons why is a lack of connection. I'm an adjunct professor. I teach criminal justice criminology. I have a 3-hour block that I do. When I give my students breaks, because I give them, do you know not one person turns around and says, hey, how are you? How are you doing today? They all pull out their phones and they do this.
Really?
They don't even get up out of their chair to go on break. I have to tell them, get up, go walk, go use the bathroom, get some water. So why is that a problem? The problem is I'm not building community. I'm not getting to know you. You're there and I'm here. And so when we don't feel connected to people, we have a lack of empathy. We fear or don't like the other, and we are more likely to cause harm to the other. All these things come into play. And social media, watching, I do the news, everything's negative. It's true. They're not going to put anything positive because you, the viewer, don't want to see it. You want to see the drama. You want to see, they're called celebrity cases. The cases, especially crime, they want to see those cases over and over again. When you're also consuming this stuff on a repetitive basis, it's also not healthy for you. Mm-hmm. I have a criminal background, right? I've never watched a crime show, ever.
Wow.
I help make them.
Right.
But I don't, it's too much. I need a break. I need something else. Mm-hmm. I will watch something that has nothing to do with that. So you also have to think, what am I feeding my mind? But again, to go back to the sociopathic question, the main thing that we see between sociopath, psychopath, or really antisocial disorder and narcissism is a lack of empathy. I don't feel bad for what I do. It's my inability to feel bad for causing you harm.
So I don't feel bad for what I do to you or what someone is doing to you?
I do to you.
Okay.
I'm focused, and they're very identity, by the way. They are very self-focused. It is me. So a couple of things to pay attention to. When you hear somebody using the repeated use of I, a little bit of a red flag, right? You can even see it in email. I was trained to look at language.
Wow.
and how you can know in language when somebody is very self-focused or even depressed. If you see the repeated use of I this, I that, it's either self-focused narcissism or depression. People also who are very depressed are very self-focused. I analyze myself. Another thing that's causing harm, and I think people are coming out with this, is when you sit and you talk about your problems all the time, when you dwell on them, when you analyze them, when you sit there and you've had something bad happen to you and you are trying to dissect that thing to the nth degree to figure out why it happened, what you're doing is you're feeding your brain, and, even spiritually, right? If we bring it to that level, only negative things. You are dwelling and retelling and reliving the harm that's caused to you. And one of the predominant places that happens is in the therapy room. Because most people, when they go to therapy, what do? You talk about everything that's wrong in your life. So you have to take a moment, because I've had people come to me, I need help with this. And when I speak to them, they'll be in years of therapy. And I'll ask them, what do you go for? What do you do when you're in there?
Right.
I talk about my problems. So if I sit and I always talk about my problems and I relive them and I retell them and then I get emotionally upset, what kind of headspace am I in? The Hippocratic Oath, I'm Greek, it's do no harm. So I think going to therapy and getting help is a great thing. So long as you understand, why am I going? What's my purpose? And so long as you have a good doctor that says, we're done now. Mm-hmm. You don't need me anymore.
Yes. That's interesting. Because, growing up as a man in, I guess, the Western culture, I was never acceptable to express feelings, right? So it was kind of like an extreme of just don't acknowledge it, don't talk about it, don't express it, don't let it out. Let it out through anger or sports or some other strategy to kind of let out your emotions. And by suppressing it for so long and not just talking about it, at least a few times, it made me feel like a lot of pressure. It made me feel like something was boiling inside of me. And as I started talking about the things that were causing me emotional pain or frustration and figuring out how to integrate the lessons of healing or release and move beyond it, I started to feel better. But if I was constantly reliving a story and feeling emotionally heightened by it, I could assume that wouldn't benefit me long term. But on the flip side, like not talking about it at all might cause me stress or chronic, stress or pain or something else. So I think it's a balance.
It's the balance
of like learning how to communicate it and learning how to release it, but getting a strategy to go beyond it.
Yes, you want to be in a state of moving forward. Yeah. But if I retell it and retell it and retell it and retell it and relive it, it's like eating McDonald's. No offense to McDonald's.
Yes.
But if I eat McDonald's every day, I'm putting junk in my body's going to show. If I'm retelling every bad event and I'm feeding that to my mind and into my soul on a consistent basis,
yes,
I'm not going to feel good either.